Hi, welcome to the Car Chat podcast. I'm Sam Moores, and with me today, I'm in Spain on a WRC event, and we've got with me Chris Rawes. Hello.
Hello. Nice to meet you, Sam.
Yeah, welcome. I've sort of slightly roped you in.
Yeah.
Chris is my, I don't know, sort of guide, I guess, on this event.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say I was a guide, chaperone, just to making sure that you stand in the right places and don't get injured, which is the main thing.
You have. Can you give a sort of a little bit of a background, short background of sort of who you are, what you do, and then? Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's great to meet you because I saw
welcome.
Sam Moores on the guest list, Sam Moores, and you were down as influencer. I was like, that's pretty cool. So
who's that person?
Who's that guy? But it's been really great to get to meet you. But I'm sort of like. I'm your chaperone this weekend in Rally Catalonia for Toyota Gazoo Racing, the World Rally team, who are at the moment leading the World Rally Championship,
Yep.
and this is the penultimate round of the series. Myself, I've been working in motorsport since around about 1998. Primarily, I started working in radio and broadcast engineering, and the company I worked for, we did a lot of stuff with the World Rally Championship. And at the start of the early 2000s, we devised World Rally Radio, which was the first sort of live streamed coverage of the World Rally Championship. And we ran that for about 10 years or so. And then as the internet's moved on, WRC.com now is live streaming all the stages. And it makes sense to bring the sport to the fans at home.
Yeah.
That's me. And this weekend I'm working for Toyota. Kind of a busman's holiday for me. So as well as reporting on motorsport, I also absolutely take great joy in taking guests such as yourselves out on rally events and taking them to the heart of the action, and basically passing on my knowledge to you guys there to convert the masses to the world of rally.
Originally, I wasn't sure of quite how I was going to structure some content around this trip, and I was like, okay, I kind of want to do a podcast, but I don't know quite how it works. And I definitely don't know enough about rallying in any shape or form to impart some knowledge to my listeners. So I thought, actually, and then we started talking. I was like, right, you are the perfect person. You have a wealth of knowledge. And I was like, let's maybe almost do like a beginner's guide to WRC from my point of view. Because for me, this is a learning experience, and this podcast is kind of my journey. So I thought, let's run through some of the basic things about rallying and whatever. And then we can also talk about this weekend and where we are with Toyota and the championship and stuff like that. But there's maybe some, take it back to sort of bare basics. WRC, what are the cars?
Okay.
There's different classes and stuff like that?
Yeah, different classes. You've got the WRC1 cars, which is the pinnacle of the sport. So the World Rally Championship is the highest level of competition, a bit like Formula One. And I suppose the downfall of rallying is it's quite difficult to follow because you're battling against the elements and you're battling against the clock, against your teammates. So when you're watching circuit racing, you know who's winning because it's the car out in front and it's the one with the fastest time on the timing sheet. With rallying, we're out in the wilderness. We're using closed public roads here in Catalonia. So we're on a tarmac event this weekend. So we're using the public roads that the everyday Juan and Carlos and everyone who are going about their daily business, they are driving on and competing on here this weekend. The World Rally Championship, pinnacle of the sport. There is a lot of subcategories, regional rallies, grassroots stuff around airfields. And ultimately, everybody wants to be a World Rally Championship driver, or a WRC driver. You look back to the glory days. We had Richard Burns, who was England's only World Rally champion. You had Colin McRae, and so I suppose, Sam, not being disrespectful to you, but you're sort of age, you remember Colin McRae as the PlayStation game.
And some Subarus with gold wheels.
Exactly, and that was sort of the glory days of the championship in the early 2000s. And we've come up, the World Rally Championship carries on. It is always constantly evolving. The FIA, who run the sport, the world's motorsport governing body, they're keen on making rallying safe for the spectators, safe for the drivers, and also bringing it to many markets around the world. Ultimately, it sells cars. So for Toyota this weekend, we're using the Yaris car. So it's the Yaris road-going car that has been prepared to make it a sort of fire-breathing monster, basically. Using the engine that's inside it, tuning it all up, putting funky suspension on it, roll cage inside it, making it super safe for the competitors and super fast. And this year is a transitional year for the World Rally Championship, because we're using hybrid technology as well this year. So not only do we have the engine in the front that propels the car, but then there's the added extra boost. And it's all part of sustainable motorsport and the transition that we're going with electric mobility at the moment. You know, we're in this transitional period to move from combustion engines to also sort of more sustainable forms of propulsion to get us from point A to B.
Is there some stigma in the rally community over this sort of, I don't know, whether it's like heyday of fire-breathing cars that have then got, I say tamer, but they're definitely faster. Tamer over time in terms of just sort of base what you might consider specs.
Yeah. I suppose if you look back to the absolute glory days, and they were dangerous days, is Group B.
Which is mental.
We talk about Group B rallying, and they were fire-breathing monsters, just absolute beasts, but not very safe. Technology has moved on, like everything. You know, we've got safer and safer. And back in the day, in the Group B era, the cars didn't have as much suspension travel. So racing at speed on the competitive stages, the cars would skip and bounce all over the shop, you know, because the suspension couldn't soak up the bumps. And as we've evolved and the sport's evolved and technology has evolved, you know, there's more suspension travel, so the cars can soak up the bumps and remain a bit more planted to the stage rather than bouncing around all over the place. And things have evolved. We've had hands devices which have come in, and that's to stop lateral sort of neck damage. And you look at the old days in Group B, and the drivers' heads are wobbling around, and there's hardly any kind of safety cells inside the car. And now it makes me cringe looking at those videos. The cars were beautiful, but they were super dangerous. So it is an incredible sport to watch, but it's a very, very specialist sport to watch. You're fighting against the clock. And for us here today in Rally Spain, we're up in the hills, and we're standing at the side of a piece of tarmac that just 4 hours ago was open to the public. So we've got spectators that have come up here, and they've been camping overnight, and we're just waiting. And it's kind of like a community, because we're a tribal bunch of people, and we head out to the stages and we all sit around. And Rally Finland, you've got people having barbecues and drinking beer all weekend. Rally Greece, we were in New Zealand just a few weeks ago, back in Auckland, the first time in 10 years that the World Championship headed down south. COVID had a big problem and sort of stifled the fun and the community spirit of rallying. Although the World Rally Championship ran during COVID, it was behind closed doors. Everyone was working in bubbles, so it just lost that kind of party atmosphere. But what is good for me and also for you is this weekend in Spain, we're back. You know, we're without face masks. We're standing close together at the side of the stage, and this is actually the first event in a long, long time that we've been able to welcome guests at Toyota back to the stages, and you're one of them. So you're in a privileged position, my friend.
It is really cool, actually. And I've never been to a rally event anywhere ever, and I'm now standing next to the track in inverted commas, but it's super cool because it's a road. So no other sort of motorsport. Apart from, actually, I was in Australia a couple of years ago, and I drove around the Bathurst track because it's a road. A bit like Le Mans, you can drive around it as a road. But this, if you want to, you can just drive the stage. And it's exactly the road they're driving. You can drive it just after them if you want, or before. And then you probably get that probably gives you a bit of an appreciation if you maybe look at some in-car or see something of like how fast they were going down that road.
It's incredible. You know, everybody can use the rally stage. Just got a helicopter coming in above us because we're just ferrying guests up to the stages. So it's kind of a bit rock and roll style landing in the stages because we're in a privileged spot here, looking at this ribbon of tarmac. And what I find totally fascinating is that we've got this smooth piece of asphalt, and Catalonia, Spain is a very, very famous rally. It's smooth tarmac. It's almost a ribbon of tarmac lacing its way through the vineyards where we are now. And anyone can drive on these roads. The competitors here running on the WRC this weekend, they have 2 passes. So before the event, they can recce the stage twice. So they drive through in their recce cars, which is not the competition car. It is a similar car. They rig the car with GoPro onboard cameras, and they sit sit with their co-driver and they come through and they write the pace notes. So it's the co-driver's job to read out the pace notes in sort of a clear, precise form to pass that information on to the driver so the driver can react to what is coming up on the road ahead. So the drivers drive through the stage, they recce, they write the pace notes, and then this morning, we're now under competition speeds, and then it's their chance against the clock to set the fastest time from point A to point B on a closed public road. Have you got your head switched on so far?
Yeah. And one thing we were talking about yesterday was the idea of cutting. So now everyone seems to come and stand right next to us and play helicopter noises. But and that's it. It's the start time and where you leave the start and where you finish. How you get between the two, if you suddenly decided you were going to go massively off-road, it wouldn't be very quick. No. But that's not actually necessarily a problem. You have to keep 2 wheels on the stage at all times. Okay. So you can cut. So cutting is on this kind of event. Just got one of the safety cars coming through. So this is. It doesn't really work on the podcast, Sam, because this is audio, but we've got the car coming now. So these are one of the closing cars. So this is the 00 car. So before the stage goes live, this time of the morning, it's 10:38. The first car is on the road. We have to close the road in a safe way. So taking it from a public road to a competition road. So we run a series of cars through the stage. Safety 1, safety 2, 000, 00, 0 car. Countdown. Yeah. And then the 0 car that's just past us now is the last car that goes through the stage prior to the stage going live. Through the stage, we have radio points. So there's marshals in the stage to make sure that the 0 car has passed them. And primarily, we need to keep the sport safe. So if a car under competition speed comes off the road and, heaven forbid, crashes, we know exactly where the car has crashed, and we can send medical teams to the car to make sure the driver and co-driver are okay. All the vehicles are GPS tracked, so we know exactly where they are to pretty much the meter where they stop. And also inside the car, they have a safety button. So they have basically an SOS button. So if there is a big problem, they press the SOS button, which immediately neutralizes the stage. Any other car that's in the stage is red flagged and has to stop, take the foot off the gas. You think about, I mean, we've got away from cutting the stage, but we primarily have to run this event safely. Because if we look back to the Group B days, we had a lot of dangerous events, and unfortunately, crowds on the road.
Crowds on the road, fatalities for drivers, and the key is to get to the scene of an incident safely to protect the driver and co-driver. It is very, very safe. We think at the moment that we're standing here in the middle of nowhere, and if a car went off the road in front of us, they're on their own. This is probably one of the safest sports there is, because we know today the cars are running at 3-minute intervals. So if the car goes off the road, in 3 minutes' time, there's the second competitor on the road that's going to arrive on the scene. So help is no more than 3 minutes away. At the maximum, but the chances are that we can get an ambulance there quicker, or marshals to help the driver and co-driver.
What happens to the car? So a car goes off, the car behind stage gets red flagged. Do they get to start the stage again?
They will be given a nominal time based on a previous time, so they will have an average time given to them from the stewards. It all gets a bit complicated behind closed doors, but the sort of the ultimate thing with rallying is over this weekend, 19 special stages, so that's 19 time stages here in Spain. We've got a whole load of competitors from all over the world, from Japan, New Zealand, and so on. And we've got the World Rally Champion, who is Kalle Rovanperä, who is an absolute legend. He's competing here this weekend. And during those 19 stages, it's the driver who completes those 19 stages in the least time possible. So i.e. the fastest through each stage accumulated over the 19 stages wins the event.
With different types, because like different rallies in different countries have different kind of, whether it's surface or temperature, weather, whatever. This is a tarmac rally.
Yes.
And does that make the times closer together?
Yeah, it is. Tarmac rallies are notoriously quick. The cars are set up almost in go-kart setting, so they're lowered down. It's the same body shell that you'd use on a gravel rally, just they change the suspension linkages at all four corners to make the car either higher or lower to soak up the bump, and then change the tyres from asphalt tarmac tyres to gravel tyres for a gravel rally. So this is a super quick rally, but at the moment, this is the first pass this morning. The stage is nice and clean, the tarmac is nice and clean because it's a public road. The first car on the road this morning can take a cut. So they can't take a shortcut, but in the apexes of the corner, they can cut the car into the corner. This is what we were talking about a short while ago. It takes me a long time sometimes to go round in a big circle to get to where we need to go. So in front of us, we can see this apex, and there's a little bit of, we can almost see a line at the moment of dirt that's just been flattened. Yeah. And that has been from the wrecking when the drivers have come through. And they've made a note. There might be a rock or something in the inside of the apex of that cut. So you sometimes hear, if you're watching onboard footage, right 50, 3 right minus over crest, don't cut, which means the co-driver says don't cut after that 3 right minus over crest.
There might be a big rock or a segment of bridge or something.
Yeah, something to catch them
Those notes that you hear, whether it's on the radio, a video game, or whatever, what do they mean? So you might do like a 3 right 50. What does that actually mean?
It's really interesting. It's like shorthand writing. If you're taking notes down. Each driver and co-driver combination have their own sort of preferred use of note delivery. Right. So 3 right minus over crest. I haven't got a clue, to be honest.
It's not a gear or anything like that.
It can be a gear selection. It can be number of meters before the next corner or left.
So that's your 100 or something.
Yeah. Or a square left into 3 right minus. Scott Martin, who co-drives for Elvin Evans, our sort of British team, Scott always uses this phrase nips over crest, I think it is. So the road corners, let's say right over crest, so it's over a crest of a hill, but nips means it just gets a little bit tighter towards the end, so it nips in. And there's what's the other one? Shiny is another one. You hear the word shiny. You don't really get it here in Spain, but sometimes where they repair the road in certain countries, they put a tar on the top, which when it's baked in the sunshine becomes very, very smooth and shiny. So there's no gravel mixed in with the tar, so it's just like this.
Not as grippy.
Yeah, super. Today is nice and dry, but if you get wet rain or a humid conditions and the stage is damp, the shiny is like driving on ice sometimes. So the first car on the road can cut in deep, and he can flick gravel out onto the road. Now, gravel pulled out off the tarmac onto the road is like driving on ball bearings. Yeah. So you're almost switching back to a gravel stage. So the first car on the road on a tarmac rally has the competitive edge. So they've got driving on a clean road, but then 3 minutes later we have the next car that will pull some gravel onto the road. 3 minutes later, the next car pulls gravel onto the road. And it gets notoriously difficult for the cars further back down the starting list. But the problem is, later on today, we run this stage again. So we've had, however many competitors here in Spain. It's a massive entry list. The guy that was first car on the road today has to come and do that later on. So if he's a bit crazy and pulls a bit of dirt out, he's still got to drive on that stuff later on today, and it's going to be really, really difficult for him on the second pass.
But then I guess everyone behind you is going to drive on it. Yeah. So if you just basically, if you're going, let's say early, surely you just go as fast as possible. Yeah. Because you're going to have to deal with everyone else's rubbish anyway down the line.
Yes, exactly. And what I find is so fascinating, circuit racing, particularly F1 circuits, is a very sterile, safe environment. Yeah. You've got big runoff areas, you've got gravel traps, you've got, Armco barriers, debris catch nets, and so on. Here, you've got nothing. You've got a road, you've got a drop off where we're looking ahead, we've got a vineyard, we've got, Juan's vineyard here with his finest grapes. Yeah.
Slice like view we're looking at right now, the little vineyard vineyard, a great corner, but there's like a cliff off it, and then another thing.
Yeah. So here, there's nothing. There's no guardrails to catch them. We've got Armco barriers. Yeah.
You wouldn't want to hit that one. That's sending you right upside down. It's like a little ramp.
Yeah. But the drivers are super safe. They're super professional. This is the pinnacle of the sport. We've got to think that out of the entire world, and everybody who's interested in rallying, and everyone who drives in rallying at lower down categories, there's only 12 seats available in the World Rally Championship at the moment. So you think the drivers that we've got in those 12 seats are the ultimate, the best. Now we can see the helicopter flying here at the moment. It doesn't really work again in your podcast, but this is the television helicopter that is just picking up the first car on the road. Yeah, so it hovers and waits, and it picks up the car. So the first car on the road coming this morning is now, I think this is the, yeah, you can see the eyeball, the Cineflex camera underneath the helicopter, and that's tracking and broadcasting live the pictures back to the service park where they're streaming that on screen at the moment. So first car is on the road this morning, the stage is live, the helicopter is following it. So you see the heli go past, you see the camera on the front of it.
Try a different picture. There's a trail there. You go inside.
Okay.
Of a cutting corner to the right.
Yeah.
Viewpoint is
pretty
interesting.
good. Thanks.
Nice. You see, everyone's
Great
so friendly.
atmosphere. People are coming to offer some tips.
Everyone's so friendly as well in this sport. It's really, really cool. So here we are. We've stood here. We've talked for long enough. But that's the first car on the road today. It's top 10 reverse order from yesterday.
Right.
So on day number 1, they run in championship order.
Yeah.
And then on day number 2, if you're super good and super quick on day number 1, unfortunately, then on day 2, you're at the back of the grid, so you're impeded slightly by the first car on the road.
Presumably there's some tactics around that on certain events, certain stages where I don't know, I imagine a heavy amount of snow might be particularly bad, where you pretty much want to avoid being car number 1.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Gravel rallies, car number 1 is not so good, because gravel rally, you've got a gravel road and you're driving on those ball bearings, that we talked about before, about the stuff being pulled out onto the tarmac. Gravel rally, if you're leading the championship, your first car on the road on day number 1, you hit the gravel you've got to sweep, what's called road sweeping. It's sweeping the road clean. So you're driving in a sort of like a flowing style, and the rear of the car stepping out, and it's just flicking the gravel off the road into the bushes. And then probably after 4 or 5 cars through, that's probably the sweet spot on a gravel stage, because you've had 4 cars ahead of you, you're driving, and then the road's just swept clean, and then you get these called tram lines, so you can see, it helps the driver, because you can see where everyone else has been using their racing line, and you try not to step out of the swept line on a gravel stage.
Yeah, because I imagine, I think we've probably all done it, drive off road and you get in a rut, and if you try and get out of the rut, all kind of hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
I guess as well, you've got the fastest people going first. So if you're following the rut, it's in the right place. Whereas if I imagine this is not going to be quite like that, but if you ran it in reverse order and there was maybe 500 entrants, the ruts are going to be not necessarily.
Yeah, we've had Rally Poland's been on the WRC in the past. We've had next car's coming through now. Rally Poland's been run on the WRC. It's also been a part of the European Rally Championship. Brilliant event, but super soft sandy surface. Here we go. Next one through. It's insane, isn't it? Absolutely insane, but it's so cool to watch.
So cool. Yeah. We were talking in the car on the way, I think, to the hotel last night, how they have to do a road segment in between each stage. Basically, they've got to get between the stages. And the cars are road legal, in inverted commas.
Yes. Yeah.
The exhausts don't sound road legal.
Yeah, they are. But they have road mode and stage mode.
Okay,
the cars.
so they have valves or something.
Yeah, they have. Basically, they just tweak the ECU and change the mapping of the engine with that.
Yeah.
So if you get to the start of the stage, you see a car at the start of the stage. They switch it to stage mode. There's a button in the middle. Switch it, and then it just basically changes the timing of the engine.
Calms it down a lot.
Throws throws in a bit more fuel into the top, and that's where you get that real and off it goes. That's why they're loud. When they get to the end of the stage, they switch it back to road mode, so stage mode to road mode, which then allows the engine to cool down. Fans are blowing to cool the turbos down, just get rid of some of that heat soak, and just cool everything down. And then it's more fuel efficient on the road sections, but also, as we were saying about this sort of sustainable part of the sport, the FIA have introduced the hybrid systems into the car this weekend. And okay, rallying can be a bit antisocial on the road sections from one stage to the other, but now they've introduced the hybrid system, so you can switch the engine off and just coast through the towns.
Like in the service part yesterday, they drive into the pits under EV, or they can do.
So they come in just to keep it nice and quiet. It used to be notoriously loud in the service park at night because the cars would come in, and when the cars are coming. Last night it was a big surprise because it's just coasting like a Prius. It was
presumably that. I don't know about how the hybrid system affects that, but that must really help with, like you said, the cooling and having the road sections in between. Because presumably you come out of this, your turbos are all like glowing hot, and then just to park the car doesn't work so well.
Yeah, no, it kind of damages everything because you've just got this, what do they call it, thermal shock or something. It'll damage the engine. I worked on the European Rally Championship, which is the category below for this, and I did stage end reporting for the European Rally Championship for many years. We did driver training, media training for the drivers. Cool. So as everyone's feeding up to the World Championship, quite a lot of these competitors this weekend, we've worked with, and they've been in the category below as they've come up to this gain. Another car coming. So who have we got coming now on our? It's brilliant, isn't it? Brilliant.
Be able to hear that one as it goes past.
But well, where are we up to? So working at the end of the stage as a reporter, the cars come up, and if you're in Greece and it's like 40 degrees and you're standing next to the car, the brakes are absolutely boiling. So you always burn your leg hairs. I'm normally like quite well known for wearing my shorts at the end of the stages, and you just warm your legs on it. On a cold, rainy event, it's quite nice because you can just stand next to it and just get a bit of heat coming out of the brakes. And the fans in the engine bay are blowing so hard at the end of the stage. There's big vents in the bonnet, and you're just so hot. And you get this heat soak coming off the car at the end of the stage. When the car stops, it's just this bubble of sauna temperature, and it's great. And also, when we started World Rally Radio back in the early 2000s, it was when kind of the internet was starting, and we thought we could live stream content from the end of the stages. It was the way that we could get immediate reaction from the drivers at the end of the stage. Prior to that, the only way the drivers could talk to the print media or TV was back in the service park after they've taken the time back to get to the service park. And you always got the manufactured sort of PR line. How was your morning? It was okay. We're going to improve this afternoon, and we got some problem with the tyres. At the end of the stage, when you're standing at the end of the stage, there's no better place to be in the world. The cars come towards you, and immediately you look at the car as it comes in, and you can dart your head left to right and see if there's a puncture, see if the car's running out of line slightly, look at the expression of the driver's face, look and see if there's a twig coming, it's just stuck in the bodywork, just any little clue, little hint, little damage to the car. He's had a moment. So immediately it's like, okay, you look cheesed off. What happened in there? We can see that you lost you lost your tyre, you lost your rear end, you lost your spoiler, you've been off into the weeds. What happened? And at the end of the stage, we may wrap up some la-di-da question to make it sound all super cool, but ultimately, we just want to know how that stage was for the driver. Was it good? Was it bad? And can you improve?
And I imagine the difference between those is like night and day.
Yeah.
so much more emotion, personality, everything in that. Right,
Yeah.
tell me right now.
Yeah.
Piss off.
Yeah, you look angry. Why do you look angry? And I love the passive-aggressive approach sometimes with these drivers at the end of the stage. Another one coming. Another Ford now.
It's so great where we're standing now. You can really see them coming off from the distance.
Adrien Fourmeau, just a super talented French driver. He just passed us there in the Ford, and he's had some big shunts in his time as well. But yeah, super talented, and you can just see now, just the more we've had, 4 cars through so far, and we can just see that there's pulling, cutting deeper and deeper. It's getting faster
Bits
and
of
faster.
stones and rocks and gravel and whatnot are coming off.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was a very good start off to the sitch. We've got a good base point to start from. We're going to watch some more rally cars go past, and I'm going to take a few photos. And thanks very much. And let's catch up a little bit later. We'll pick your brains about some more nuggets.
We should have the box set coming out after this. Maybe sit down to take the weekend off.
Our Netflix series. Right. Well, thanks very much, and I'll see you later.
All right.
I'm back with Chris. We're in a different sort of part of the landscape at the moment. We just after we sort of wrapped up, one of the cars crashed. Went off, didn't they?
Yeah, Gus Greensmith. Not so cool for us, so not so good because we'd spent all that time and effort going out into the middle of nowhere to stand in the vineyards, and we were talking about how the competition was running, and then Gus went and slipped off the road and hit one of the Armco barriers, which is a bit of a problem. But the stage was red flagged, so we were all building up and getting ready for the excitement and tension of the Toyotas coming, and we didn't really see much of them.
And explain to me what happens in a red flag situation, because it's not just the problem of, right, there's a car in the way and we've got to stop. It's actually the cars all have to get from A to B, and they all have to do a certain amount of distance and whatever to complete, right? And we get a car, can we go past in a minute? We're going to get some good pop, bang, bang, bangs.
Good noises in the background. It sounds authentic, doesn't it, Sam?
It does. Put this on.
Yes. Super cool.
And then the dust cloud comes now.
And we're enveloped. It makes for good podcasting.
It does.
So the stage was red flagged. We were talking in the first part about how the rally is super safe, and the priority is the safety of the competitors and also the spectators, because motorsport is dangerous. We're always fed this information. But in a red flag situation, so Gus Greensmith, he's on the road, he comes past us in the stage, a few kilometres up the road, slides a bit wide, gets a bit untidy, unsettled, hits the Armco barrier. Now the Armco barriers are the metal barriers that you see at the side of any road to keep the cars on the road. Now that gets damaged when a rally car hits it at speed, and we need the Armco barriers to keep the road safe, to stop cars heading off and disappearing into the vineyards. So Gus' car was then parked in a pretty precarious position, blocking the stage. So at that point, Gus hits, there's a little button in the middle console of the car, same position of where we were talking about stage mode and road mode. So it hits the kind of the SOS, not the SOS button, but the sort of red flag button to say, I've got a problem, I'm blocking the road. Instantly, that fires a GPS signal off the top of the car. This is where we get a bit technical, because flying above the event that we can't really see at the moment,
this is fun.
we have an aircraft that's flying at 22,000 feet above us, and when the stages are running, the aircraft is flying in a sort of a long sort of figure of 8 kind of circle. And that acts as a mirror in the sky. So all the telemetry, the radio comms, the RF links for the TV are all beamed up, picked up by the aircraft, and then rebroadcast back down to the service park where rally control is, where they keep an eye on the GPS trackers and the maps, and the TV production can make the live streaming and so on. So Gus presses his button, he's got a problem, he's blocking the stage, boom, instantly red flagged. All competitors that are in the stage at that time all receive like an SOS warning on the dashboard. Boom, SOS, there's a problem, stop, boom, instantly everybody off competition speed back to sensible, normal driving to try and locate where the problem is. Because what we don't want is for Gus to be on the road, parked up there, and then 3 minutes later,
another car
comes around the corner and we've got carnage. So that's what they did. It's frustrating for us as spectators because we head out to the stages, we want to see as many cars as possible, but they red flag it, they hold all the cars that aren't in the stage at the time at the start until they can decide what to do to clear the problem. Normally in those situations, another car coming, see I've talked for 3 minutes now, there's another car. Normally in those situations, there's recovery crews in the stage, there's flatbed trucks to remove cars that are blocking the stage, and they recover the car out, and then they can restart the stage with a bit of a delay. TV stages, there's a lot of stuff that runs to timing.
Right.
So there's broadcasters that take live programming in different territories around the world from the event. And we can't delay the rally for too long because otherwise the TV schedules for the live stages on, let's say, live in India or Australia or so on. We can't run the rally out of sync because everything needs to run to time. So they hold the drivers on the start line and then they decide what to do, move Gus's car out of the way by a recovery truck going in to move that out, and then all the cars that are held on the start line then are driven through at normal conditions at road speed. So they just basically drive the stage as a procession. Maximum speed, I believe, is about 80 kilometers an hour, so they can't tank it through the stages.
And how does that work with their times then? Because presumably, you want your full times to be done, and it adds up towards the end.
Yes.
So you get a zero score, basically, but how does that work?
The drivers are then given a nominal time by the stewards at Rally Control. So before the incident with Gus Greensmith earlier on, the two drivers that completed the stage were Soraides and Pierre-Louis Loubet. So those two drivers had come through. Louis Loubet was fastest than the first car on the road, so they come up with a nominal, a notional time, and they award that to the rest of the drivers. So they kind of get a time, but it's just like a sort of an average for that stage. Everyone moves on to the next stage and fires it all back up.
And I guess you get, there are 19 stages over the weekend. So if you lose one and a lot of people get a normal time, it's not the end of the world if you were like, that was my stage.
No. It's smaller events. One day rallies at lower level categories. You probably get 10, 12 stages in a day, and it does make a bit of a difference. But also the privateers. We were talking about the World Rally Championship, Toyota, who are heading towards their manufacturer's title this year. This weekend in Spain, they just need to finish with the car on the podium and their second car in 6th place or higher, and they accumulate enough points that they win the manufacturer's title. And this is the penultimate round of the season.
I was about to say, this is not over as such.
No. So what's good for Toyota, the pressure's off, because the final round of the WRC this year, we're going to Japan. Last round of the championship, which is brilliant for Toyota.
Great. Especially if they were going into it, they're like, well, we know we won. We're throwing the mother of all parties.
Exactly. So the drivers, the team, everyone can go into the final stage, or the final round of the season. Another one goes by. They go into the final round of the season knowing that they've got Kalle Rovanperä as their world champion, which is brilliant. They've got the manufacturer's title for Toyota based in Japan, which is brilliant. So the Finnish team who prepares the car and builds the car just north of Jyväskylä, Finland, they then can go to Japan and basically celebrate. And it's gloves off, and that's where they don't have to give team orders. They can just get stuck in and enjoy the event.
And this season, so we've seen, I don't really know the drivers that well, but we've got the driver Kalle, who is super young. He's 22 and is absolutely smashing it.
Kalle Rovanperä. He's son of Harry Rovanperä, a former World Rally driver. Anyway, Harry Rovanperä, Kalle's been brought up in a car from the very, very early age. So Kalle's come up from a very early age and has been brought up in the rallying environment, and he's Finnish as well.
Yeah.
And the Finnish guys are fast on gravel. They know how to drive.
It's like on the way to school they're doing these stages.
Yeah. I think it's kind of in the blood in Finland. You know, you go to Jyväskylä Rally Finland, which is an amazing event, and they used to call it the Rally of 1,000 Lakes. It's a stunning, beautiful rally to go and watch. If you were going to go to another one, Sam,
That's the one.
Highly recommend that. The beer is slightly expensive in Finland, but it's a real good
and it's got big jumps, doesn't it?
Yeah. The jumps are absolutely amazing. Orninpoja is a famous stage, and it's like a roller coaster that just goes down, up and down over the gravel roads. And I think this is where Finland produces such quality drivers, because they have gravel roads in that part of the world because it's so cold. There's no need for asphalt, and they're used to driving on the slippy slidey stuff from a
Isn't
very
it part of the
age.
driving test?
Yeah,
I think it
guess
is.
So. Yeah. You've got to be able to drive on that kind of environment.
If you can't drive on the slippy stuff, you can't drive around in winter.
No, exactly. Yeah. It's incredible rally. You should go there. But Kalle Rovanperä is good. We've got to also talk about Oyt Tänak. Oyt Tänak, who last year was world rally champion.
Right.
And Oyt last year, another Finnish. Where's Oyt from? Estonia, just over the water.
Yeah, not far away.
Yeah, they've got gravel roads too. So Oyt is super cool, super fast, and those two drivers have sort of got rid of the Sebs, the domination of the Sebastian Ogier and the Sebastian Loeb before that, who the French drivers who were kind of tarmac specialists and super quick as well. So,
they've not disappeared fully yet, though.
No.
Coming back.
Well, in Toyota's team this weekend, we've also got Sebastian Ogier, who's kind of retired, but keeps coming back.
And still very fast.
Still extremely fast. And then you've got Sebastian Loeb, who is driving for Ford on selected rounds this season. And I had the joy a few years ago to go in a car with Sebastian Loeb at the start of his career, and the guy is a master. He's an absolute talent, and to look back now at like the times back then when he was driving for Citroën and what he went on to achieve, probably the greatest driver of all time.
Yeah. Super cool. And I mean, it's not one for now, but the endless debate of like who are the best drivers versus whether it's like, you know, rally or Formula One or whatever. I'm not gonna open that one up now, but it's incredibly impressive watching these guys do what they do now on variable surfaces.
Indeed it is, but you've got to look at Kimi Räikkönen, another Finnish driver into Formula One. He was in Formula One. He was paid a considerable amount of money to step away from Formula One for a while. He chose rally. He competed on the World Rally Championship, went back to Formula One, and kind of smashed it a bit.
Yeah.
He kind of, rally sort of like pulled him in and made him a bit more mature, a bit sharper. And I think
he's smashing it at the moment in Formula One.
Yeah.
He's killing it.
Yeah, I know, it's incredible. So maybe in rally back then, you know, it did something for his future career. You know, then, I don't know, what happens if we move some of these drivers, took Kalle Rovanperä, put him in an F1 car, put him in a world endurance car, you know?
He's not going to be slow, is he? Might need a bit of time to adapt, but
just a little.
It's going to be quick.
But looking down the start list for this weekend, or the entry list, we've got somewhere down here, I noticed the other day, we've got Stefan Sarrazin, who is somewhere. Stefan Sarrazin's here. He's on the entry list as car number 27, driving a Volkswagen Polo GTI from France. Stefan Sarrazin's no stranger to WEC and the Le Mans 24-hour race. He's competed in that. So I think there's a bit of a crossover.
There's a bit of dibble dabble in the various things. In WRC, I think people look at sort of reference some other series like F1 and go, yeah, but the top teams, their car, whether it was Mercedes at one point or Red Bull now, their car is just faster. And people go, yeah, but what if you put some of the other drivers in that car, would they be fast?
Yeah.
Is it like that in WRC?
It's a small industry. And drivers move around with teams, and one season one driver might move with Toyota, they might move to Hyundai, they might move to Ford, they move around, and I think with it, when they move around, a lot of knowledge moves around too, and I think it hurts a team when a driver moves to another team because those
They take
secrets
a lot, don't they?
yeah, they take and that's value. It's added value to that other team to give them that upper hand. But it's the World Rally Championship. It's a World Rally team. And it's not just the driver and the co-driver that makes it happen, it's all the guys behind the people who build the wiring looms for the cars in the workshop, the guys who are doing the body panels and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot, it's the team that win the championship, not just the driver.
But if you put the fastest driver in the fastest car, you've got a good...
Yeah.
So we seem to have some mass exodus going on around us.
It's just, nothing's happened. I think just it's a tight schedule for everybody this weekend.
Yeah, everyone's going to jump back in a heli.
Rattling off to the next stage. But the cars are built to a series. I'm just doing my bag up here, so we're good to go in a minute. But the cars are built to a series of rules set out by the FIA, and you have to adhere to those rules. So the cars need to sit into a certain size box, have a certain engine power, a certain this and that, and so on. And so they're more or less the same cars, but then it's just the tuning and how you adapt.
Does it feel at the moment like? Because actually, I think this year, is it correct that we've had a few manufacturers who've been winning? So we've won events, etc. So does it seem like the cars are reasonably on a level, or does one team seem, in car point of view?
In the car point of view, I'm gonna swing towards Toyota because this year for Toyota it's been a dream situation for them, and they've got this new driver, Kalle Rovanperä, that they've nurtured, brought into the team, and he's won the driver's title. So there's a lot to come from him in the future. My money's on Toyota being the strongest team, but that's not because I'm biased. I'm with you this weekend.
Yeah. But no, they are doing very well.
Yes,
and he is doing very well.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's carry on. Watch some more cars. Probably go. I think we're going to on to another stage.
Yeah.
And probably catch up with you a bit later.
No problem. Thanks.
Okay, we're back. I'm back with Chris, and I thought we could look into some of the other elements that I've learned a little bit about this weekend. So maybe let's discuss a little bit about what happened to the service park and how that even breaks down, I guess, because the cars don't just go out, do a stage, come back, get fixed for an unlimited amount of time and go out again, do they?
No, they don't. I call it this cloverleaf format. A long time ago, way back in the 90s, and prior to that in the 1980s, the rally was run as a kind of an endurance event, starting in one city, running through a country, finishing in another city overnight, carrying on the next day, and the whole format of a world rally ran over a number of days, and that was a test for the drivers, rallying through the night at some stages and through the day, but it also was a challenge for the teams back in the service park, because whenever the cars went out onto the stages, the teams had to pack up their remote sort of service vans, throw everything in the back, and while the rally cars were competing in the hills, the teams had to transport all the tools and spanners and everything in their little race trucks, and then set up at the side of the road at these determined locations along the route. So it made for a bit of a chaotic experience and logistically quite a nightmare. With the evolution of television, social media, online content reporting, the format of the World Rally Championship was and most rallies was changed and revised in sort of the late 1990s, and as I refer to it as the cloverleaf format. So the cars leave the service park in the morning, they follow with a predetermined route through the rally stages, let's say there's sort of 3 or 4 stages in the loop, and then back into service. There's a couple of sort of reasons for this. Primarily, it was down to television broadcasting. So before we could live stream to the internet, as they do at the moment on WRC Plus, the online program thing that you can see from all WRC events, they were recording the footage, the onboard camera footage, on little SD cards or compact flash cards back then, and it enabled, as another car comes by, Danny Sordo just passed us there. Now, Danny is a Spanish favourite with the Catalans here. Was favoured to win this event this weekend, but he promised his fans that he was going to win at least one stage, if not the rally. And he won the super special stage at the end of day number 2. So
in quite spectacular fashion, though, wasn't it, as well? It was significantly faster than everyone else,
Incredible. The TV helicopter's actually flying above us at the moment, so just picking up Danny on stage. So just as I ramble on, so all the onboard camera footage was recorded on the onboard cameras, and then it gave the opportunity then when the cars came back into service to retrieve the footage off the cars and then help the TV crew start editing the nightly program. In some cases, in the stages where the remote cameras are operating within the stage on tripods, the helicopter that's flying above us would swoop down and the crews in the stages.
Really?
Yeah.
And give them the footage.
Yeah, so we have what's called a grab bag, and you put all the footage in it. You label the discs coming out of the big cameras. You label the SD cards from the GoPro set up in the funky places, and you put the grab bag together. And the helico will come in and hover above the Armco rails in places, and you reach out and toss. It's like a executive postal service to get the footage back to the service park. So the TV crew and production office is set up in the service park. It also having this bigger service park environment where they don't have to pack up and move, during the day. It also enables the teams who are competing in the championship to set up more a sort of better guest experience and fan experience. They can have big fancy hospitality units, big fancy service parking areas, and it's just a lot easier for everybody.
If you don't have to pack it up every
hour. So it's some of the structures take a couple of days to build, a couple of days to take down, and they all pack up into the articulated lorries and off they go to the next event. Big logistical issues going on behind the scenes to make the service park work. And so coming back now, as I go round in a big circle, coming back to the actual rally. My cloverleaf. So we've done the cloverleaf. The cars have gone through the stages. They come back into service, and during the day they have this period of time that they can work on the cars to basically straighten them up, sort out any problems, and get them out on the road. Now that time on this event is 40 minutes during the day. So there is a 40-minute service at the halfway point on Saturday. On Friday, there was also a 40-minute service halfway through the day at the Portaventura Service Park. And on Sunday, the final day of the rally, is just 30 minutes halfway through the day, mainly because they haven't done as many competitive stages as they had done on the previous 2 days. Like Tanak passing us in the Hyundai i20 there. And so 30-minute service. The cars are running in a controlled environment. They can't be tweaked or fiddled with between stages. So the team has to get it right with the correct tyres for the weather conditions in the morning before they go out to tackle the stages. So normally they have a weather crew that will go out. They look at the meteorological, I can never say meteorological forecast to make sure it's humid or damp to decide what tyres they should use. So the cars are set up in the morning. They go out, they do the stages. You have to really deal with, how the car's set up. The drivers can change the cars, damper settings, damper clicks. They can adjust the ride height within some limits between the stages. They can do stuff to the car. Small things. But they can only, the driver and co-driver can only fix the car when they're out away from the service park with the tools they have in the car and nothing else. They can't have any outside assistance.
No one can give anything.
No.
And then when they come back in, so we saw this on Friday night, they come in and then they've got the 40 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 or whatever it is, but they can decide when that starts. And then you see them all with their torches poking around, kind of like, I'm not touching, trying to see what might be there for when I guess they go away, come up with a bit of a strategy if the stuff needs to be done. And then they all pile in. But there's only a set number of people that can work on the car.
I believe I might be wrong with this, I believe there's 8 people per car. So you've got
I think it's 4 per car, but you can have that's the number of mechanics you have. So if you've got 3 cars, I believe this is right, you can put 12 on one car if you want. but they all still all have to get serviced.
Yes, they all have to
think
get
that's
serviced.
right.
Yeah, we might have to cut this bit.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'll verify.
We'll verify that. I'm trying to work it all out. Anyway, let's go back. We'll argue over the numbers of mechanics.
There's a fixed number of mechanics
Yeah.
that you have, but you get more if you've got more cars, and you can move them between cars.
Yes. Certain specialists, like one's
Yeah.
a specialist bumper guy or electronics guy or engine guy, and they all have armbands.
Yeah.
So you can see from a distance that the right number of guys are working on the car. But you can swap the armband over to another driver.
Tag in or whatever.
Yeah, it's quite cool to watch in the evenings. So you have each car has its own engineers that are assigned to that car and that driver. So you got your driver and co-driver, and you got your mechanics that work around the car, and then you got the specialists that come across. Another Hyundai, and so they work. So during the car, let's take a day. So the cars are held in Parc Fermé overnight, so no one can touch the cars. The cars are parked up safe.
Yeah.
In the morning, before the first stage of the day, there's the time on the board, the start time for that day. And on Sunday, the final day of the rally, the first car was out of Parc Fermé at 6 a.m. this morning. So they come out of Parc Fermé and then drive on that EV mode into the service area, and they have a 15-minute service at the start of the day, just to basically clean the car. All the work would have been done, the major work would have been done the previous night. So 15 minutes, get the tyres on, fill up the camelbacks inside the car, make sure the water's in there, make sure they've got the drinks and snacks and stuff for the drivers to keep them going on the road, make sure the car's all good. Then they go on the road section. Today, on Sunday, the final day of the rally, they do 2 stages, stage 16 and 17, and then they head into the regroup area in Ventura in Salou, and they're in there for a short while before going into the midpoint service of the day, which is 30 minutes. So the car comes in, the mechanics have got 30 minutes to work on the car. Once that 30 minutes is up, you're done, and you have to be out and on the road. Otherwise, you pick up penalty seconds for being late coming out of service. Then 2 more stages, and then just a quick 10-minute service at the end of the day. That's really at the end of the rally, really to wash the car down, put a clean set of tyres on before they drive over the podium to spray the champagne.
Right, okay, yeah.
So the teams, after the cars have competed so many competitive kilometres, this rally's in Spain's fairly clean. It hasn't rained, it's not too muddy out there. So the teams want the cars to look their best for when they go over the podium. If you look at a Le Mans 24-hour car,
it's kind of the opposite.
Totally.
Just warts and all.
Yeah, warts and all, flies stuck on the front of it, brake dust up the side of it, and that car is preserved then for a moment of history, and it goes into the museum.
Sometimes people wash them and clean them, and then I think get fired.
Why would you do that? 24-hour racing, Toyota competing in a Le Mans 24-hour race. You need to preserve that car because that tells the story. All the scars, it looks great. These body shells competing here on the WRC, they're cleaned up and sent over the podium. So the photograph with the team spraying the champagne and the cars look
great.
Nice, squeaky.
Good for the marketing.
Good for the marketing. But for me, it'd be just nice if they came off the podium covered in rubbish.
I agree.
Yeah. But for TV, the power stage is also big marketing opportunity for the Kalle Rovanperä, the world's youngest World Rally Champion, just passing us there driving the Toyota. Certainly a talent. We've been talking about him during this podcast. But the
power stage.
The power stage.
What is that, and how does that work?
Live on TV. It's a way to extra points on offer for the drivers through the power stage, so you can accumulate vital points for the championship. Maybe if you haven't had such a good run during the rally, but the team's doing well, you can push hard in the power stage, get some extra points there for your team. And the power stage is broadcast live on TV. There's various broadcasters and networks around the world that take that program. So this is why we have that regroup time prior to the power stage starting, just so if there is a slight delay to the rally, we can't hold TV broadcasters up on their network. Otherwise, they're going to be dead air. So yeah, we build in these regroup times just during the day, so we can eat into that time if needs be. So
a little buffer.
Yeah. So the TV program goes on air on the right time for the power stage. At the end of the power stage, there's like a little sort of fake podium for the TV,
right?
Where the cars come off the stage into like a holding pen, a field at the side of the stage or something, and then they just do a sort of little fake podium for TV, spray the champagne and so on, and then off air, and then properly for the Rally Catalonia here later on in the day, they have the proper pomp and
do they do that in town?
They do that in town, yeah.
With
it's
the
good
crowd
fun.
and whatnot, and all fun.
Remember when it was, trying to think of his name, Sebastian Loeb. He's famous for his backflips on the podium. He used to be a gymnast, so it's kind of the time for drivers. Most of them are sometimes relieved that it's over, so they're a bit calm, spray the champagne, have a bit of fun. Sometimes people start doing the road bottom dances or whatever.
Worked on their moves.
Yeah, flossing or whatever you do.
Yeah.
Is flossing out now? Are we allowed to do flossing anymore?
I don't know. Well, you can do whatever you like. I don't know what the cool young 12-year-olds do anymore. Probably something completely different.
What do you do, Sam?
Well, that's for me to know. So what's your sort of favourite part of a rally weekend?
Recce. No, yeah, recce's an interesting one. Prior to coming out to the events, we recce in great detail where we're going, what we're doing, what the plan is, timing from one point to the other, and yeah, recce's really nice because it gives you the opportunity to actually drive the stages, have a look at the countryside in a more relaxed environment. Once the rally starts, you pretty much go, and there's no real opportunity to relax, even for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, because you're very much like, right, got to get from one place to the next.
Yes. Sebastian Ogier, legend, another legend passing.
Doing very well this weekend.
But what is amazing about this sport is the drivers, they're heroes on the stage in front of us, just passing us. When we get back to the service park, they're heroes, their fans are there. They zip out of their race overalls just like any normal guy. They, jump on the plane. Elvin Evans, he lives not too far away from me, up in Wales, and you'll see him on a Ryanair flight back home, on the night after the rally if he hasn't been out on a big session.
That's probably the difference between maybe Formula One and WRC salaries.
Yes, yeah.
Not so many private jets.
There are some private jets, and also some events in Europe. If we're using helicopters to get from point A to point B, then there's the added opportunity for the drivers to make a quick, hasty exit back home to the Côte d'Azur at the end of the evening, and particularly if we're rallying on Corsica or in Italy and so on, it's not too far to fly home, so they can be ready for tea and biscuits in the clubhouse or their own clubhouse at the end of the day.
Amazing. So we've been cruising around in some helicopters this weekend, which has been just so awesome, but like how quickly you cover distance, especially this terrain, this kind of like mountainous. You see all the roads wiggling back and forth, and you've got to go through little towns and whatnot, and then everyone queuing, and the alley you just drop in, we get out, some awesome cars fly past, and we cruise off. But
it's pretty showbiz. And
it's definitely from this side.
Yeah, very, very showbiz. And you've got to Rally Catalonia, access to the stages is fairly difficult because we've got this ribbon of tarmac lacing through the hills, through the pine trees, through the vineyards yesterday where we were, and lacing through. And a lot of the spectators come up here. When we were recceing the other day, the spectators were already setting up camp, and that was on Thursday lunchtime. People were setting up, getting themselves a good position, so it's a real party atmosphere, a bit like the Le Mans 24-hour race where everyone goes to a party.
Everyone's having a good time, everyone's got their camp chairs out, and weather's here is great. You see loads of people camping and whatnot. Park up for the day, for the afternoon, watch some cool cars in a cool setting as well.
Yeah, and what I love about Rally, just before we wrap this little section up, sorry Sam, I keep talking, you can edit this out if I'm going on too much.
I'm aware we've got a flight soon.
Yeah, but the other thing is we've got to, you come here on a rally, you come to a piece of tarmac, which is a public road normally, in the middle of nowhere, and today it's a stage tomorrow it's a normal guy where Juan and Carlos are driving to work and so on. But you come to the locations you would never go to on holiday.
No.
So you experience
yeah.
the real culture. If you came to this part of Spain for a sun holiday, you'd never come up to this bit of tarmac that we're standing on at the moment in the middle and see these beautiful Catalan towns and villages and experience the culture, the restaurants, the food.
An interesting point that I'd not really thought about, but you don't need a ticket. You're not paying to come and watch.
No, some rallies you do have to pay to come and watch.
Do you?
The spectator zones, yeah, Rally Finland, you have to buy a
even like
rally
this
pass.
sort of setup where you're just literally on a road.
Yeah, but there's spectator locations,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
we're just walking and talking at the moment. So the spectator sort of fan camps. There's a big party atmosphere in other rallies where you do buy tickets to watch, and others are free to come.
Okay.
But
Well, I think that's probably a good point to wrap up this sort of segment.
Cool.
And I'll catch you later probably for a sort of a final wrap up chat out of the weekend. Right, thanks very much.
good talking.
Cheers.
All right.
Back with Chris. It's the end of the day, and it's been a great weekend for me. I've learnt a lot. Thank you very much for guiding me through, and it's worked out well for Toyota, hasn't it?
It has. I mean, it couldn't get much better securing the manufacturer's title at the end of the penultimate round of the season. So great for Toyota that they can go into the final round of the season with pretty much all the points in the bag, and they can go to their home event in Japan and kind of relax, gloves off for the team. But with Ogier winning, it couldn't get any better
cool.
in Spain.
Do drivers in that situation tend to go big? If they've already won, it's done. Do they then go, right, let's just go for it?
Yeah, go hard or go home.
Yeah,
on the last
exactly.
event. Because there's nothing to lose apart from budget if they crash it. But going to Japan, they've just got the pressure off. They can relax and they can just enjoy the moment. And we haven't been to Japan since way before COVID, and it's nice to have it back on the calendar.
Yeah.
And it's going to be good for Toyota going on to their sort of the home round at the end of the season and sign off the season in maximum style. And the penultimate round here in Catalonia, it's been absolutely incredible. The weather's been good. We've been flying in helicopters from stage to stage.
The fans have been pretty good.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been a great weekend. I hope you've enjoyed it, Sam.
I've enjoyed it massively. Thanks very much for being my guide. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, no problem
It's been
at all.
great to meet and great to have a chat.
Yeah, it's been
and
cool.
I will see you, I'm sure, at another event somewhere else.
Yeah.
Maybe Finland.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, Finland next year. We're always welcome to have guests along and to convert them. And it's so great. I take great pleasure in this kind of weekend. You arriving at the event, not really sure how the rally how the rally works, and now you're completely hooked and converted.
I'm loving it.
We've transferred another one from the dark side to the good side. Nice to meet you, Sam.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thanks.